Okay, so thinking about certain behaviors and why people might be doing them, and I finally found a way to sort of comprehend this tension game. And it goes like this. So most of the time that I'm doing something, like when things are not being, you know how it is, awkward situation. Somebody wants something but doesn't want to say it, don't know how to. They get embarrassed about it, yada yada yada. But they still want it, and it's still being communicated. So there is an attention to pull here. There's an intention. There's an intention to pull here, and because you noticed it, the unwillingness to communicate that intention creates boundaries that prevent you from getting there. Now, as you attempt to push towards the pull to get there, the boundaries themselves start to tighten and compress. Remember, these boundaries, as you push them, go towards the goal that you're trying to accomplish, but the fact that the boundaries also exist means that an opposite force is being created as you push harder. Now, this is creating tension, excitement. This is why we like to edge. This is why we sit there and we like to play these games. We like to be a little bit exciting, a little bit sudden, a little bit sneaky, a little bit low key. That's why we do it, because this tension right here is exhilarating at a comfortable, smooth pace. Now, what happens whenever you reach all the way through and make that connection? No, here's what's going to happen. There are two ways that this can go. One, if you make the attempt and fail, then because you made the attempt and these boundaries are still in place, these will connect socially regardless of what you do, and you will face the consequences that come with having attempted and failed with these boundaries. This is why you're often told to be confident when you take your shot, because if you fuck your shot up, the boundaries that you failed to destroy on the way to getting what you were invited to will create consequences socially, physically, matter-wise, and all that. So, you'll notice that whenever you reach all the way through and make that connection quickly when you know it's there, an ecstasy explosion occurs, in which you've done exactly what needed to occur. You gave it the right force going to it, it gave the right force going away from it, and you made the connection, it snapped, it turned into an explosion of logic, an explosion of currency, an explosion of thoughts, an explosion of idea, an explosion of energy, an explosion of matter. This is why the game is designed this way. Now, the secrecy of the game is maintained because of these boundaries that are sometimes difficult to figure out how to get around when invited. These boundaries here create more consequences than, how would I say this? The excitement, the joy, and the exhilaration of accomplishing the goal is equally matched by the consequences that will be there if you fail to find the right path through the boundaries to get there. Now, in some cases there are paths. Like, you can understand, all right, we talked, we connected here, 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 we talked, we connected here. Okay, I can do this following this route. That's a way you can go about it. The reason that this is unexciting is because it does not create the tension that leads to thought to matter energy. This is for securing what you already have. This is safe. This is what is called safe play. This is pretty much the boring way to do things. If you talk it out, if you make all the connections, make sure you're safe no matter what, there's no tension, there's no energy. Therefore, the charge that you were trying to achieve is not accomplished. Now, the reason that you're trying to achieve this charge is because being able to get what you want or do something without explanation that is exciting and feels good is ultimately the summarization of basic primal human urges. So whenever you accomplish it and there are no consequences, you've given yourself currency for thinking, currency for thought, new forms of confidence, new forms of learned information that change how you react to everything. Your change reaction, combined with the currency of you having accomplished that goal, adds to the matter of your existence and makes the things that you want happen without needing to go through this sort of logical justification to have it. This is what all of this is. That's what all of these games are. This is the Hello Kitty channel. This is all of these things. That's what we're doing here. We are trying to create these connections with with the boundaries in between, so that the tension created and the explosion created produces energy, mass, and thought that allows us to reorganize ourselves and reproduce ourselves into the lives that we want. Which is why the people that are already doing it the hardest tend to make it to this point. And because it is an explosion, the boundaries that you're held to prevent you from being able to see how to get there. So, in order to get there, you actually have to take the risk, which you have to actually take it the right way. It fucking sucks. I'm so sorry. I have not found a way to make this communicable. I have not found a way to express how to get through this. But I have expressed this. So, the people that get there have greater structures developed in which they can do these things that you can't more often, because they've already made it to the point of the currency that justifies the natural momentum of them already in doing it. So that's why there are people who expect you to move fast, do it fast, keep going, and there are people who are really confused and don't know what to do. There are people who are still at this level. They're trying to logically justify it, but doing so will not create the currency that they need to get what they want right now. So it's boring. It's not helping. They'll never be able to see this. This right here creates so much energy, so much mass, that it is dangerous. It leads to collisions, which is why you have to always sort of treat this like a Band-Aid to rip off. If you do this and it starts another incident, like doing this creates currency, and now you come across another collision, something wants to happen, there are boundaries in the way, I'm trying my best to draw it, and the only way to get to them is to push through these boundaries without any concern for them. If you do it successfully, explosion occurs, these boundaries never mattered. If you don't do it successfully, hey, what were you doing there? What were you doing there? Now it goes back to this. Now that tension that you caused is not going towards the explosion. It's being sent back to you in a negative inverse charge that causes unwanted social matter changes. I solved it. Okay, I didn't solve it, but I isolated the problem. I mean, I'm close to solving it. Obviously, the fact that I'm even saying this means that we're at a point where I'm about to have to do this at some point, or I've made it to this point where I can actually justify a smoother rate of change in energy by saying that doing this may seem like an ineffective rate now, but by continuing to do it, you create a more solid, more stable form of energy that justifies you getting what you want for an even longer, certain period of time than these explosions do. But that's science. That's stuff that you gotta that's stuff you gotta listen to me on. Here, you guys don't want to listen. You don't want to fall for the trick of listening to what somebody has to say, and now you got their problem or condition in life. That's fair. So because of that, you have to deal with the consequences. That is, you break boundaries. Sometimes you're gonna fail. It's gonna end up bad. What do you think celebrity scandals are? So now you've got this side who's trying to do it very slowly and just keep a steady flow of energy. A steady flow of energy does this. Instead of it being a temporary explosion that creates immediate currency that you have to constantly keep creating new explosions by going through boundaries for it, this instead charges slow. It goes slow. It stops here. And here it builds up. 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 And that keeps going until you've reached the same rate of change that was caused by this motion, but it is more stable, certified, and secure. Instead of having to worry about violating some boundary to get an explosion to increase yourself temporarily, you can instead just rely on a safe, stable passage. So here are your choices. You can either have fun and excitement now, but struggle to take care of yourself later, or you can take this slow, stable path that builds what you want so that you can actually get it and not even be concerned about it because you've got the ethnic experience to get around and know that you're still going to get what you want anyway. Now, obviously, I'm held here. They want me to try this. They want me to do this. I am struggling to do it because I did not understand why it was happening this way. Why you tell me to do something, but there are still boundaries that I need to get through, and I'm not a man if I don't. That stuff frightens me. It scares me. I don't understand it. I deal with the consequences. You pretend you weren't doing anything. So I did the work to understand it. Now I'm doing both. In iterations, I'm building up a slow path of energy that gets me what I want in a stable way in the near future, but I'm also participating in these invitations that haven't gone wrong so far. So I'm good. I'm great.